Hey everyone, welcome to episode 86 of the Fantasy Timeline, a proud member of the Dynasty Addicts Podcast Network. As you can see, the facilitator of these questions is not here. Josh just lost power. Apparently there's some bad storms going through Philly, so I'm going to do my best to help Sal, our guest, through this mess of me. So Sal, welcome.
Hey, Bill, thanks for having me, man. Yeah, Josh has been after me to come on, and then this unfortunately happens. But we'll get to speak to Josh as you guys will be joining us on the SFB Podathon. Early morning, July 6th at 2:30 a.m. So if you guys ever wonder what kind of maniacs get stuck with the 2:30 in the morning shift, it is Bill and Josh.
Yes, that's correct. So looking forward to that. I didn't know if you wanted to kind of get into that a little bit and explain, everything for our listeners and, maybe what they can do to, participate.
Yeah, absolutely. So as you see, I have my SFB Podathon hat made by Viridian. You can go to Viridian's website, pick up hats, shirts, whatever. That's a great way to donate to the SFB this year and the Fantasy Cares. I got on my Podathon t-shirt. I'm a big promoter tonight, which comes from FF Pod Shirts. Store Envy, which is Dynasty Outhouse's site. You can go to his page and find us there. So yeah, the SFB Podathon kicks off this year at 9 a.m. on July 5th on the East Coast, and we go 24 full hours to 9 a.m. July 6th, Tuesday morning. Like I said, somewhere in the middle of that is Bill and Josh. And, we started this 3 years ago. This will be the fourth version of SFB Podathon. And we wanted to do something around the SFB to bring a little bit more attention, to hopefully get a little bit more donations to Fantasy Cares, and it's just worked out beautifully. Year one, we struggled with guests. We did everybody an hour long just to make it through the 24 hours. Year two, people knew what it was. They came back. Year three last year was an absolute explosion. We raised $42,000, and we have people literally fighting to come on. People definitely disappointed when I can't get them in. I do my best. It's no offense to anybody. We try to give some of the smaller shows a shot each year. You guys are joining us for the first time this year. Some of the small shows that we've had on before, we weren't able to get them back this year, but maybe we could do it in the future. I always tell everybody, how do you get a good spot and get invited back? Improve. So 2 years ago, the Ball Blast, Michelle and Kate Ball Blast, were on at 1 or 2 a.m. And last year they were on at 5 p.m. This year I think they're on at 6 p.m. and they've blown up in the industry. And just, one other thing this year, we wanted to emphasize diversity in the fantasy football community. We want to put an emphasis on that because that is something that has exploded this year and it's something that has been buried for too long. And I look back at the first three SFB Podathons and it was a lot of white male faces. That's plain and simple. So this year we are loaded with ladies. We are loaded with minority faces. We are loaded with people who are the up-and-comers in the industry, and it's a beautiful diversity of people coming together to raise money for Fantasy Cares this year. And if you go to the SFB Podathon Twitter page in the bio, you'll find the link to donate, and that will be up through the show, and actually till the morning of July 9th, we'll collect donations for that. So definitely please come out and donate.
Yeah, man, it's a quite the feat that you guys do. It's I'm old as well, so trying to stay up for 24 hours anymore is pretty much difficult. And for me, I have a hard time forming sentences when I'm awake. And I can't imagine trying to do something on hour 23. Maybe by that time you have a second wind. I don't know, but
it happens, Bill. You get a second wind. Again, this will be the fourth year I'm doing it. So you do. There's a lull in the middle. There's a lull, and you're hot, and it's my God. Oh my God, how many more hours is it? And then you get past it and you keep going. Last year was particularly difficult, and I'll tell you why. We have done it at a different time every year for some reason. I mean, I know the reasons. We always want to be on the air when the draft kicks off. The whole idea is being live when the drafts happen. And with 4th of July, that doesn't always make it easy. So this year, 4th of July falls on a Sunday. and we weren't going to ruin our 4th of July's with our families or expect people to be listening to us when they're drinking, throwing cornhole bags, and listening to music with family. So we moved it to Monday morning, 9 a.m. But last year, 4th of July was on Saturday, and we thought, well, people are probably going to be pretty hungover Sunday morning after. Let's start it in the evening, and we'll go 8 p.m. rather at night till 8 p.m. Monday night. Well, the problem with that is we didn't roll out of bed and start. Like 9 a.m. in the East Coast, we're going to pretty much be up for an hour, start the show, and be good. Well, last year, try as you might, it's difficult to sleep leading up to something like that. So we were all up for 30-plus hours last year. That's just the bottom line. It was 30-plus hours. And actually, I did hear from Kevin. Kevin started a new job, and Kevin will be doing the 24 hours and then going right to work.
Oh, wow.
So somebody might want to follow him with a camera because that could be fun for all of us.
That could be like, people could donate just to be able to watch him live for the day. Like that would be pretty
donate an
incredible.
Uber so he doesn't drive to work.
Gotcha. Yeah, we should get him a limo or something for the for that day. Well, yeah, man, that's awesome. And the amount of donations has just blown up over the last few years. I get it. Like, I know it's hard to say, talk about expectations because, like last year, everybody was kind of in a different mode. But yeah, getting to 42,000 is pretty incredible. Because what was the tally the year before?
Oh, the year before was like less than 7.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you, this year we're at about 11,000 right now. And again, if we put the goal up as 20, and I think we'll get there. Yeah. Would we love to go to 50 and blow ash? Yeah, but like you said, everybody's in different situations. It's another year of a lot of people being out of work. It's another year of people being in a bad situation. So we don't hold anybody to anything. But I actually clicked on a clip, the opening clip of last year's Podathon today. I literally listened to it today. And when the show started, we were at $24,000. So that means we got $18,000 while we were on air and through the rest of that week. So we'll build up again leading into this weekend, and we'll come out of the weekend into the drafts forging. More people will be aware of it. I know they will. So 20 to me is a no-doubter, but I really love to see where we go. And again, whatever we make is wonderful. We are giving most of the money to Toys for Tots this year. I did ask Scott if we could donate 10% to the Trevor Project, which is something that is important to me. I have a gay daughter who, her mindset is to give back. Her mindset is to fight for people who need to be fought for. And when I asked her what charity a year ago she would like to see me focus on, that was the one she brought up to me. So when Carl Nassib came out and also announced that he was partnering with the Trevor Project, it was just a perfect time for me to announce that we were going to give 10% of our donations as well.
Awesome. Yeah, that's fantastic. So, if you guys get a chance, catch the Podathon, and people just get a little nutty, and there's some good talk and good people like on top of it. So if you get a chance, pop in. Like I try to, like I'll be in for like about a half hour here, and then I got to do something. Then I come back, pop in for a half hour, watch, and try to listen when I can. So like even if you just pop in for a minute and say hello, that's gonna everybody will appreciate that. And
we're loaded with people. But before we get to the amazing Super Duper Flex podcast at 2:30 a.m., I'm going to run through just some names for you real quick. We start the show off in the first 30 minutes with Scott Fish, Ryan McDowell, John Bosch, and Jamie Sonica. Jamie is the SFB champion, so he'll be on to throw his gauntlet down. And Bo knows of Hot Batch sauce, hot sauce. He is coming on at the beginning because Bo is going to donate the profits from every single sale during that 24 hours is 100% going to go to Fantasy Cares. And then we just roll through with Curtis Patrick, Heath Cummings, and Jeff Hasley has now hooked up and is going to join Heath Cummings, Ray GQ, Matthew Berry, Eric Moody, L.A. Christ, Bob Harris, Mark Schofield, John Laub, Jennifer Eakins and Chris Allen, J.J. Zachariasen, Casey Kasem, Trophy Smack, who is our title sponsor this year. They stepped up big. They donated a ton. And we're going to be running a ring special with them where we're going to try and get each division to purchase a ring for the champion of the division, which when you break it down to 12 people in the division, it comes out to about $4 a person. And then the profits of those rings are all going to also go to Fantasy Care. So win your division, get a ring, and then a percentage of that money is going to go to the charity. And you just keep rolling on with we got Matt Harmon a little bit later at night. Shane Battier, NBA and NCAA basketball champion. Shane Battier will be with us for a full 30 minutes this year. We have the Women's Power Hour at 9 o'clock led by Sam Holt with stepmom Lauren, Jen Piacente, Melissa Jacobs, and Samantha Prevente. I don't know if I say Samantha's last name correctly, but you know Samantha. She's all over TikTok and Twitter these days. Adam Levitan, the Dynasty Vipers, Sal Stefanali. I mean, Steffi Smalls. It's an insane lineup. Oh, and then at 1:30, some clowns, Dynasty Hot Sauce is on.
Oh, geez.
Some clowns from that show.
Yeah, Larry Monkey said he's going to get the crowd hot for us. He's going to warm it all up for when we show up at 2:30. So, yeah, man, that's a pretty fire lineup. So, and that's a great idea with the rings for the divisions so that's like, how much is it for a ring? Like $60?
I think it's $60. You divide that up by 12.
That's a pretty cool little thing just to do in general, you know? Like, I mean, it's pretty much nothing, especially like when you consider like leagues. You know, most of the stakes in those leagues are what's $60 for like the pot for a year. So, yeah, I'll have to check into that. That'd be fun to do for some of my leagues that I run.
Yeah, check out Trophy Smack. They're awesome, and they have the best stuff and the best customer service.
Yeah, that's cool. So, all right. Well, so any of you guys listening, please check in, and if you do have the opportunity, you know, any donation, $1 or whatever you can afford is going to go to kids or to support people that need to be supported. And is it solely gay or is it LGBTQT for Trevor?
So the Trevor Project specifically is designed to help suicidal LGBTQ members, like people who have dealt with rejection through their family and stuff like that, and have considered suicide, and just assist them in saving lives, basically. Yeah,
that's awesome. So yeah, please do if you get a chance. So we're gonna pop onto the timelines. Let's do a little bit of this show for a bit, and Josh, please show up so I can go back to just answering questions. But so Josh made the spreadsheet, so let's see what we could do. In the news, Falcons signed Pitts. I mean, they were going to, so it doesn't surprise us. But I guess with Pitts being, Julio Jones getting traded, what are your expectations for Pitts this year? Because, I mean, it's all over the place. And some people are like, thinking he's going to be Kelsey this year.
Yeah, he's clearly the best tight end that's ever lived, right? I mean, that's how everybody has perceived him. And listen, the kid has a boatload of talent. He signed – that deal gives him the most guaranteed money out of any tight end in the league, period. More than anybody. I joked in the 101 chat because I'm picking 101. When somebody said, do you take Kyle Pitts? I said, he'll probably be gone already at 101. That's how high everybody is on this guy this year. So, listen, he's still a rookie. He still has to adjust to things. And have rookies come in and done it at other positions before? Yes. We haven't really seen it full-fledged at tight end yet, right? We've seen some good rookie tight end seasons, but we haven't seen anybody be just, all pro. So, the most expectations I've ever seen for a tight end coming into the league. So let's see. I don't know that I'll be drafting him as early as where everybody else is drafting him. And in the SFB, I don't generally draft tight ends. I mean, there has been some Kelsey talk at 101. I think mostly it's been surrounding CMC and Patrick Mahomes. But I have heard Kelsey mentioned. Probably won't be me that does that. I don't go early for the tight ends in SFB. I do load up on them late and hope a few of them hit, and they usually do. So, yeah, I mean, for SFB, I won't be taking Kyle Pitts, and I don't think I'm going to get him anywhere because he's just going way too high for my taste.
Yeah, I mean, he's going – it seems like he's even going earlier than right after the NFL draft. I think he was kind of hovering in that 104, 105 range for rookie drafts. And then, like, I'm hearing about him going for, 102 now. And it's, like, pretty consistently, which is just, people are buying into the hype, especially with Julio gone. So we'll see how it goes. But, yeah, I mean, probably the best rookie year that I can remember was Jeremy Shockey. I think he had a pretty incredible rookie year. Ingram did, but there was a lot of reasons for that, because the whole offense was injured. So
right, so he was forced a lot more targets than we would have expected in a typical year. And I'm just such an Evan Ingram fan. I wish he could, I hope he gets his head on straight, right?
Yeah,
because it's a concentration thing with Evan Ingram. All the tools are there.
Oh, there's no doubt.
He's an absolute stud, and I'm a fan. So I hope he gets his head on straight for sure.
Question from the Peanut Gallery: what's Sal's best finish in SFB?
In 2018, I made it to the semifinals. I really had a great year that year, and I really thought I had a team that was good enough to win. I was on the backs of Aaron Jones and James Conner. Now, I had drafted Le'Veon Bell in the first round. I was able to get James Conner in like the 20, like somewhere like 18, 19, or 20. Like really late, I got James Conner. And so drafting Le'Veon Bell didn't really hurt me in the first round because Conner had an amazing year that year. Bell never touched the field for Pittsburgh, maybe late in the season, one game or something. Yeah. So, but both of those players got injured in semifinal week. So I didn't win to move on because of those injuries. And obviously, I wasn't there for the final. So, yeah, but I've had some really, really bad showings at SFB, but I've had a couple of good ones. Last year, the beginning of my draft couldn't have went worse. I drafted Christian McCaffrey. I took Zach Ertz as my first tight end. I took Le'Veon Bell again in like the fourth round, and I think I took Juju in the fifth. So 4 of my top 5 draft picks were just not even there. Like they barely played. Juju played, but he was in, he was out. He wasn't as good as we've come to expect. And I made the playoffs. I made the playoffs on the backs of getting James Robinson in that first waiver claim and getting Justin Herbert in the 16th round.
Oh, wow.
So, pay attention to those rookie quarterbacks. If there's a quarterback that has a path to play this year, draft him at some point in the SFB. If he's there staring at you, draft him. Justin Herbert there was just weeks where him and Robinson were the only thing going. I had a couple of tight ends off the top of my head. I can't think of them right now that performed okay. And weekly,
Yeah, last year I was 6-6, and my team shouldn't have been even that. So I just got lucky in some matchups. But I was in the same division as Roday, and I got to meet him. I think play him twice, and he just he destroyed me. First week, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna crush Roday, and then I lost by like 50 points or something. I'm like, oh man, this is not going to be good. And he was like undefeated for the longest time in our division.
Yeah, he was good, right?
Yeah.
I'd like to get him on the show because I'm actually a fan. I watch a million little things. And when I found out he was in SFB last year, I was like, oh wow, that's amazing. The other guy who did really well last year and then he fell off is Nixon, who is the lead singer from Framing Hanley.
Oh, okay.
And he's in my division this year, Guns N' Roses division. So, and I had seen that he was a musician. I had seen him doing well the last couple of years, but he was in my division, and we're putting a focus on music this year. I decided to check out some of his music. They're phenomenal. Like, his band is phenomenal. So, Framing Hanley, check them out, and he's going to let us use some of his original music on the Podathon this year, which should be
very cool
as intro and outro type of stuff. So,
cool,
really cool stuff.
So I think we kind of did this, but can Sal tell us how the Podathon started? Yeah, he did that at the beginning. So didn't you kind of?
Yeah, I could give a quick. I'll give you another quick little story.
Sure.
That's my buddy Kareem, old friend of mine from the Fantasy Life app days, going back to 2015. One of my favorite guys that I've met through fantasy football. So when we first got into the SFB, it was SFB 480. It was before Scott actually started calling them 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. SFB 480, and that was 480 teams. Now it's 1,900 teams. So that first year, the drafts went off, and it was just such an insane clamoring on Twitter for the Scott Fish Bowl. And I knew there was something there. Like there was something more needed to be done than just these drafts happening in space and Twitter. And then year 2 came around, and I think that was the year that Tim Duncan retired from the NBA. And the SFB was rivaling top Twitter story next to Tim Duncan, one of the greatest NBA players of all time, retiring. They were neck and neck for trending stories. I was like, this is insane. So I said to Steve and Kevin, we were doing a Falafel House at the time. Falafel House became the Fantasy Football Fun House. I said, guys, this was probably even a little bit selfish at the time. Hey, we got to do a show like the day of the draft, maybe a 1 or 2 hour show. When the draft kicks off, have Scott come on, have a couple of quick guests, and for the first 2 hours of the draft, and just catching on some of that excitement. And yeah, I talk about it. And as the year was going by, I said, what can we do to tie it into charity? What can we do to make it help raise more money? And I started thinking back, and so Bill said, you're old like me. Telethons were so big on TV back when we were kids, right? The Jerry Lewis telethon is the one that everybody remembers, but there was more than just that. And these were telethons that were on for 24 hours, and they were like variety shows. They had a bunch of different performers, and some famous people would come on, and they'd have telephone numbers and people on the stage answering the phones and collecting donations, and they'd make tons of money. So the idea of Podathon popped into my head. Now, since then, I've looked back, and there's other people who use the word Podathon. I didn't create it, invent it. It popped into my head, and I decided to go with it. So went to Scott with the idea. He thought it was a fantastic idea. Having the blessing of having SFB in the name and the title of the show obviously brings the attention. And now it's synonymous with the drafts, which is what we hoped it would be. We hoped by year 5 it would explode. It exploded in year 3, like we spoke about earlier. But, I mean, that's the real genesis of how it began.
That's cool. That's, it started with an idea. So, Larry actually was asking, is Zeke a top 20 pick in SFB? I mean,
probably not, because of all the quarterbacks and the tight ends are going to go, and the fact that he's probably somewhere between a 5 and 10 running back this year, and a lot of people probably have him closer to 10 than 5. Could probably easily rattle off 7, 8, or 9 people. I just got a text as we're on, because we know Josh is not here because he lost power. I just got a text that said, light candles or get a flashlight out. Heard we're going to lose power in 30 minutes.
Uh-oh.
So might drop out.
So your internet was a little choppy there for a second. So I was like, uh-oh, is there a storm coming through? So
yeah, it's very popular.
Great. Then you're going to leave me, and I'm going to have to try to do this on my own. Oh, geez. No. So, all right. Let's go to a couple things that we found on the timeline this week. So Bearded Shotgun at Bearded Shotgun. Did my yearly SFB 11 clear up to take to the charity shop. If you're not in a position to donate money, do the next best thing. Even my daughter got in the action, donating toys she does not play with. And he had a picture of bags of clothing in his trunk. So yeah, it's, I feel like this happens every year where, it's kind of infectious where, people in your group start donating or something like that. And all of a sudden it's kind of like, I'm going to do that too, and all of that. And it's just incredible. Like this month is always amazing to me how like everybody kind of gets into it, and it's the positive side of humanity. And it's pretty cool to see. And it's pretty amazing, like, what this machine has become over the years.
Yeah, it's a his point about if you don't have the money to donate and find a way to do something. He found a way of donating stuff that they were no longer using it. If you're going to follow the SFB Podathon, hey, you're like, I just don't really have the money to donate this year. Get more eyes and ears to the show. Help us promote it. Help us get more people in. I have a pretty good job, right? I make a decent living, but I have 3 children. One that just finished college, one in college, one that's going to start college in a year. My money is tight. So when I say to you, I try to give as much as I can. Doing this show is my way of giving back. If I hope to be a part of an engine that created $42,000 last year, that's my way of giving back. It doesn't always have to be about money. It could be about your time. It could be about doing something physically that helps out a charity or whatever. So, yeah, I think that's a great message.
Yep, no doubt. And, sometimes I think people kind of are embarrassed or ashamed that they are not donating as much as somebody else, but it's all, relative. And, I'm not judging you. You donated something, like you're doing something, or you're doing something, or even if it's a retweet, like you're taking action. So just do what you can. And that's all that can be asked. All right. This next tweet is from John McGlynn at John McGlynn 75. Lots of podcasts last night. What I learned as far as SFB 11 strategy: Pod A, fade QB; Pod B, fade RB; Pod C, fade wide receiver; Pod D, fade kicker; and Pod E, fade tight end. Moral of the story: draft the best available when you're on the clock. I mean, it just depends if you trust all of those podcasts.
Well, I'm a draft best available always, regardless of whatever the scoring system is. I mean, this one weighs things heavy on quarterbacks. So if you know your scoring system, the best player available is a quarterback, then you go with the quarterback. Like I said, always, I'm in the Guns N' Roses division. John McGlynn happens to be in my division. And in that chat earlier today, somebody asked a question, so what is 101 doing? Not knowing that I was a person with the 101. And I responded, I could tell you, but I'll probably just make you wait. And I could tell you I'm 99% sure I'm taking Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah.
Because of the 101 this year with the third round reversal, it is a fortnight before it gets back to me in the third round. And it's just like the quarterbacks are going to be so dried up. So I might as well go out and take the very best one there is.
Yeah.
And then see what's there for me in rounds 3 and 4 when I get to pick back to back there. So I'll probably go with the best running back available to me in round 2, and we'll have to take it from there. So that's best available.
That's I have the 12th slot. And so like I'm kind of the opposite, and last year I was early. And so I'm like, this year I'm going to ask for like late and see what happens. So, I think drafting the best player makes sense. The problem I run into is that I'm a 95% dynasty player. And so it's really hard for me to recalibrate to redraft, just so I'm always overweighing the value of young players. And so this year's what I'm trying to do is not fade veterans as much as I did last year. And so not necessarily position, but I'm probably fading kickers. But like other than that, like I think best available makes the most sense. I mean, and you just gotta pay attention, like you said, to the scoring and the lineups and everything like that. So,
will you end up with any kickers, you think, in SFB?
Maybe if late, but I doubt it. Like, I don't see myself just looking at like what their average points were last year. It was a while ago that I looked, like 3 weeks ago. So, my old brain doesn't recall, but like I from what I recall, it was pretty low scoring. Like, I think like they were averaging like 6 or 7 points per game. So like, that's not something I'm really shooting to get in my roster when I can try to shoot for upside in another position. How about you?
No, I'll probably take 1 or 2 late. I mean, late though. We'll see who's there. I don't want to take. I think they projected Greg Zerline as the best kicker in this format. So, but most people think it's Tucker, but I did see projections for Greg the Legs. So.
All right. Well, yeah. I mean, if you can get one of the guys late, that's like him, or a guy that's on a fantastic offense, then it makes sense. But I'm not going to pick like kicker 10 unless I feel like that offense is going to be, pretty potent this year.
Right.
All right. Rusty K at Corroded When Wet, replying to a previous tweet about best ball stacks. In best ball, it's Fitz, Terry, Diami for me. In SFB 11, I think it's Carr Waller for me in stacks. So, I mean, that would be a pretty enticing one. I mean, it's that high completion percentage, right, for the quarterbacks that I kind of fell into that trap last year a little bit. And but Carr was one of those guys that was like underdrafted in SFB 10 because he had such a high completion percentage, right? And so he's actually not a bad one if he can kind of replicate what he did 2 years ago when he was like 73% or whatever it was.
Yeah, and I had him in SFB last year, and he was a target of mine. So the chat I was in, the one-on-one chat last year, which I had one-on-one last year also, and this year, we were on him. So I don't know if some other chats weren't. There was a lot of Derek Carr discussion specifically for this reason. And I seen Scott talking somewhere yesterday that you want a quarterback that's completing 67% of his passes, right? In order to be in a positive range, because it's a -1 for an incompletion.
Yep.
It's only a +1. It's only a +0.5 for completion. So you want to be at 67%, and that's his game. I mean, he's not going to be flashy. He's not going to be big downfield. As a Raiders fan, I hope he is. We have the targets this year to go big downfield, so I hope we do that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that he's built for it, but yeah, he's a guy. I'll be targeting him again, hopefully in that third to fourth round, maybe the fourth round QB for me this year.
Yeah, he's. I'm interested to hear. I can't wait to see like the ADPs again. That's always fun to check out and see where people are getting taken. What's the wildest draft pick you've seen taken early in SFB?
Well, we had the joke last year with Matt Barkley, right?
Yeah,
so yeah. Somebody donated money if Matt Barkley got taken early. I mean, Kelsey's gone pretty early in the past, and I thought that people in the past thought it was pretty wild, but as it turns out, his stats, how they bore out in this scoring system, he's worth that kind of a pick. Now, he's talked about in the top 3 now. So when he was taken in the top 3 in the past, people were like blown away by that. So I don't know outside the Matt Barkley in that one. I don't get to see obviously every single 160 divisions this year, I think. So we do have fun on the podathon when the drafts start coming in and people are jumping in the chat like these gentlemen are here. My man Elliot's in there now. Darth Paikai is another old falafel throwback from the Fantasy Life app days. When we start have people jump in the chat and they start saying, "Oh, so-and-so went here," so we start to get a little of that early ADP and that idea of where people are going.
Yeah,
it's pretty cool. It's another one of the fun things about being on the air live when the drafts are happening.
Yeah, that was the Barkley one was hilarious because I think a guy messed it up. Right, he messed it up like 102.
Correct.
He took Matt Barkley instead of Saquon, and then some people had some fun with it, and I think it was. Oh man, Shane Manila, I think, was doing something where he was donating if people picked him in the first round, and so just good times. It's fun, different stupid reasons to make donations. So
I think Matt Barkley might have had a better year than Saquon.
Yeah, he didn't look so foolish then, did he, when he made that pick? All right. Rich Dynasty Island at Dynasty Island says, I constantly preach not going into a draft with a preordained plan and instead just recouping value at all times. Yet prepping for SFB 11, I find myself keep looking at a specific plan positionally?
Well, again, this goes back to very similar to what we said about taking the best player available. You got to know the scoring system. So the best player available is going to change based on the scoring system.
Yeah.
And since this favors quarterbacks, and it does it, I don't know. Scott has figured out a way to make everything as balanced as possible. But not needing to start two, but wanting to start two, and then wanting to have that third one just in case. The emphasis is on quarterbacks and good high completion percentage quarterbacks. So you should have a plan of trying to get one in the first 2 rounds. That doesn't work for everybody. I've had a lot of different plans in SFB. One year I decided, I was like, I'm never going to go quarterback too early. And then one year I decided to go Brady. I had the 12. I went Brady and Breeze, and it was the year that they both sucked. Like the one year that they both sucked together. And I was like, what? For fantasy, you know what I mean? They sucked. And I was like, I'm never doing it again. But I always take one in the first 2 rounds. It's just, the plan is a little bit different because it's SFB, but the plan is still who's the best player available based on the scoring system in the Scott Fish Bowl.
Say that again?
It's whoever's the best player available based on the scoring system for the Scott Fish Bowl.
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like, this was an interesting comment to me about like not to have a preordained plan. I typically always do. Like I at least have an idea, and I think it's what you're saying, like understanding the scoring and that sort of thing. I'm not like writing down like I'm getting this guy or I'm getting that guy, but it's like just being aware of the nuances of the league. And I think especially in like you're saying, just recouping value. Well, value to me in redraft is so different than like value in like a dynasty league. So I think you I don't know. I think I'm just grabbing my guys in redraft more than if than in dynasty because there's no trading. So
right.
All right, Tommy Moe at 2-on-1 FFB. Some of my favorite late round values for SFB 11 and any redraft league this year are Mo Alley Cox, AJ Green, Hunter Renfrow, Jerick McKinnon, Josh Kelly, Tim Patrick, and Dwayne Haskins.
Well,
any of those guys?
I thought Josh Kelly was going to be my guy last year, and I drafted him.
Yeah, same.
And Curtis Patrick was the one on the Podathon last year who really talked me into it. And he had every opportunity, right, with the injury to Eckler, and he just didn't beat out mediocre running backs, which really worried me. Now, Tommy is a fellow Raiders fan like myself, so shout out to Raiders Nation, Tommy Moe, which is why I think Hunter Renfrow made the list. But, yeah, Hunter Renfrow is like that lunch pail guy, right? He's going to be there. If you throw the ball to him, he's going to catch it. Throw it to him in the end zone, he's going to catch it. It's how he's made his living going back to college. So he's always a guy. He's on all my dynasty rosters because I got him really cheap that in the year he came out, and he'll be on my SFB as long as somebody else like Tommy isn't in my league, which he isn't. And I'm a big Mo Alley guy. I have him again in a lot of my dynasties because I was able to grab him cheap and put him at the end of the bench, and he had some really good blow-up days last year. He was on my SFB roster last year, so that worked out. AJ Green, I don't know, it's so crowded over there, and I just don't know. If it's late and it's between him and a kicker, that's a good question, Bill. Very late, you could get a pretty decent kicker or AJ Green. What direction you going in?
So I've kind of been out on Green the last few years, so that's an interesting question. I think that like that's the fact that I have to think about this kind of tells you, that's kind of where AJ Green is for me. Like, am I going to take like Tucker or him? I'm probably taking Tucker.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Easily.
Yeah. Like
I think it's an easy decision for me on that one. Actually.
Or if I have Prater, like he's with Arizona now, like, would I take that kicker over the wide receiver 2 or 3? I just don't have any confidence. I think his body's kind of breaking down, and I think I'm probably going to be a void for him.
Tim Patrick is a guy who it's a shame that he's on that roster because
Yeah.
that guy could be a legit wide receiver if he was playing as a number 2 somewhere. But
Yeah.
he's some real studs ahead of him.
Like he's like the direct replacement for Cortland Sutton. So like, you know, he didn't really do like once Sutton was out and he could kind of play that role. Like it was great. Like, you know, if Jerry Jeudy went out, like I'm not sure he's going to be able to play that same role. So, but yeah, he's always a guy that he's always on and off my rosters. So he's one of my go-tos, you know, if I have an extra roster spot to add him. I like him and I agree. Like he's kind of that Josh Reynolds kind of tier for me, you know, where if he gets an opportunity, he could do something.
Yeah, and as a Raider fan, I'm sure for Tommy as well, we hate all the weapons that they have in Denver. Like they have some legit receiving weapons, and they add a nice rookie running back to go with them. So what they need is a quarterback because they don't have one. I'm not sold on Drew Lock and the old man. What's his name out there? Like Teddy B.
Yeah, Teddy B. Yeah. Yeah, this is not a pro Drew Lock podcast, so yeah, I agree. Okay, so since we're talking about being a homer, thoughts on Deebo versus Aiyuk or Sermon versus Mostert at their current SFB ADP?
Elliot, if you're still there, I don't know what the ADPs are. I'd be lying to you if I told you I've studied the Scott Fishbowl ADP. So, you know, I think Deebo and Aiyuk are similar players. I think Deebo was all the rage, and then he got injured, and everybody saw Aiyuk, and they kind of forgot what Deebo was, right, or who he could be. So I think they're going to play – it's another team that's got a ton of offensive weapons. And how long does Garoppolo hold on to that position before they just let Trey go in there and just make it the insane circus that it could be with all those young weapons? I mean, everybody can run.
Yeah, it's kind of – that's probably the most confusing offense for me to figure out. And I think that like Kittle's the one guy, you know, I'm comfortable with, but I wonder adding all these other players, is that going to limit his ceiling? You know, maybe not. I don't know. And I don't know. I'm going with whoever is costing me less between Deebo and Aiyuk. I think that's pretty much it. Because like I agree with you. I think that they're very, very similar. Like, you know, who knows who's going to get the targets? It might just be matchup. And then Sermon Mostert, I'm totally.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say it's going to change week to week. It could be either one. Either one could be that blow-up guy. If one guy's getting keyed on, the other guy's going to be the guy, right? And I'll let you go Sermon and Mostert.
Oh, I'm going Mostert, no doubt. I mean, the price is just totally. Mostert is the cheapest running back, it seems like, on that team almost at the moment. And he's the guy that I think could still have that main role. And based on the price, he's going to be on, you know, a lot of the teams that I'm contending in Dynasty this year. And he's the guy I'm going to probably keep my eye on for SFB 11.
If history tells us anything, it always seems to come back to Mostert at some point. But it always seems to come back to many different running backs in San Francisco. It's the way the coach coaches. It's he definitely goes hot hand. He stays with a guy who's rolling. So if Mostert gets in a groove, I expect it to be Mostert. If Mostert gets banged up a game and Sermon goes in there and he's looking pretty good, it's going to be Sermon for a little bit. It's just the way it's been since he's been the coach there. So Elliott had written in that they're going a round or two cheaper, Deebo and Mostert. So I think to Bill's point, we go with the guys who are cheaper because I think the values are similar.
Yeah, it's just, this is, and that kind of goes back to my thing about the rookies and just like being conditioned to think Dynasty. Like I'm typically going to be more attracted to like Sermon over Mostert, but like in redraft, I don't have to worry about it 2 years from now. I just got to worry about this year. So like that's the biggest challenge. But you hearing something?
No. I have the Stanley Cup Finals on.
What's the score?
It's 1-0 Tampa Bay, but I thought the Canadians scored, but it was a big save.
Okay.
Oh,
So
it's
yeah,
1-1. It's 1-1. I missed the goal. It's 1-1.
there was a goal. So, all right. I think our last tweet was from Linda at Lindellians. Some SFB 11 ADP. Chris Herndon, 205. Olamide Zacchaeus, 214. Mark Ingram, 216. Daniel Carlson, 221. And then the average fantasy points per game, Herndon around 5, Zacchaeus or just below 5, Ingram just over 5, and then Carlson 9 points.
So we know that. And by the way, Linda, we were in a chat last night on Twitter where she made a statement that wait till people find out her real name is not even Linda. So,
oh, that's awesome.
Because a lot of people have called her Linda Lyons, right, all this time, and I know that the correct way is Lindellians, like you mentioned. So Andy Singleton put a tweet out that it blew his mind when he heard me say it, and now he can't unsee it. And then I said something. Somebody else said, "No, maybe Sal's wrong." And I said, "Well, you can ask Linda herself." I think I have it correct. And she said, "He does, but wait till I blow people's mind and tell them my real name's not even Linda." So I'm like, "Well, what's her name is on the Podathon at 1 a.m. So maybe we'll get her to reveal it." So it's going to be my goal on the Podathon to get Linda to reveal that she's not really Linda, if that's really in fact the case. So what we do know about Lindellians is that she is a very pro kicker, right? So
no doubt.
The reason she's putting this in is she's telling you all these middling players, Chris Herndon, who looks good for 2 weeks out of every year, Mark Ingram, who, if he's used as a goal line guy, maybe he could score more points than he did last year because he got pushed out a little bit plus injury last year with the Ravens, but he's in a different place with the Texans, right, this year? Ingram, am I right?
Yep.
What she's telling you is that Carlson is averaging almost double with what any of those guys are averaging. So why would you not take him in that spot over that guy? So, let's just talk about those. I think I would take him over the first two, and I probably would struggle with taking him over Ingram.
Yeah, I would. I'm right there with you. Because he's running backs, you kind of know when they're going to start. So, I would much rather get a player like that that's going to, that I think has more upside. But, I mean, this is the 17th round, 18th round. So, I mean, it's definitely, the point is taken to don't just do what I was going to do and completely disregard quick kickers, apparently. This was the perfect tweet to bring perspective to me. So, I still don't think I'm going to end up with any kickers, probably because of my monster bias. But sometimes facts, don't get through this thick skull of mine. So, I don't know. But we'll see. Maybe I'll end up drafting 7 of them and seeing what happens.
Yeah, so that'd be real interesting.
So Josh popped into the chat. He says, "I love Trey Sermon." That's a running joke on this podcast, which I completely disagree with, but whatever. It is now a narrative that people believe. So Josh, I'm glad you're safe and your phone hopefully doesn't run out of power, because I need you to do all the stuff after the show. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
Well,
I do that anyway.
Like Lindsey Kennedy took every opportunity to immediately get after him for not showing up, which is pretty cool. I like that.
Yeah, I appreciate that, Linz, because we see how the shit job the other guy's doing. But I think that's everything. And is there anything? I don't know. Is there anything else that we need to know about this coming up over the next week that maybe the listeners need to check out?
Yeah, just, we did everything at the top about the Podathon. It'll be live on YouTube in 3 parts. And that's something I have to make sure we remind everybody every year. Unfortunately, you can't stream live for more than 8 hours and record it on any of those platforms. So we have to do 3 separate 8-hour shows every year, and sometimes there's changeover in viewership. We lose some people because I think that they think it's over.
Yeah.
It's not. And we always put all 3 links up. I posted actually all 3 links are up on the Fantasy Football Funhouse, which is FF Funhouse. It's the pinned tweet on that Twitter account, which is our home for that show. And they'll be posted on mine, Sal Leto FF, and the SFB Podathon one as well. But they kind of get lost on those. The Funhouse one, it'll be staying at the top as the pin one. So you follow all those Twitter handles, and you'll find everything you need to find it. The link to donate is in the bio of the SFB Podathon page. And, let's just have some fun. Support our sponsors, all our sponsors we put up there. And, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, cool. So I know Josh and I are planning on doing something. I think we're going to do some sort of giveaway or something if you guys are up at 2:30 in the morning on Monday night, Tuesday morning. So chime in if you get the chance. Also, there was we wanted to shout out C. Moshi on Apple Podcasts. He gave us a 5-star. He loves the premise of the show. Social media has tons of info, and these guys handpick topics and break it down for you. So appreciate the love. We, it helps out the algorithm or whatever Apple does to decide who's going to be popular or not. And, appreciate everybody that popped in and was active in the chat. And, if you haven't subscribed, we'd appreciate it if you did. And, appreciate it. So rate, review, do all that fun stuff, and give us feedback like Moshi just did. And Sal, appreciate you, man, and thanks everybody for listening. We'll talk to you next time.